Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We've played every mission of the mainline Halo video games, and now we're playing every mission from the rest of the games in the franchise in chronological order. Each episode will be discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the What Could Go Wrong mission from the Awakening the Nightmare DLC in Halo Wars 2 on the next episode. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. You can also receive a free audiobook trial by visiting audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. This episode, we're debriefing the Not On My Watch mission from Operation Spearbreaker in Halo Wars 2. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Little known fact. Lekgolo tastes like chicken. Slimy
Yum.
chicken.
Would you use barbecue sauce or ranch?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you just bread them and they look like cheeky tenders, right?
Last mission was Gatecrashers. A month passed with no word back from Professor Anders or Earth. During that time, the Banished were making moves, but it was unclear exactly what they were up to. The Spirit of Fire detected some nefarious activity on the surface and deployed Boomerang Company, an elite force of ODSTs, to investigate. After teaming up with India Company, Major Vaughn directed the UNSC to fight through both Banished and swarms of Sentinels to shut down the cloaking fields that were shrouding the truth. The Banished were attempting to capture a Forerunner ship. Now on Not On My Watch, upon reaching the ship's location, Boomerang Company discovers that the Banished plans are more diabolical than originally thought. The Forerunner ship is going to be used to cut the Spirit of Fire in half, and the Lekgolo leader, Colony, is minutes away from launching the attack. Major Vaughn quickly gathers UNSC troops to sabotage the Banished plans of revenge. Date of the game is still May 1st, 2559. Here we go. Last of the two missions from our DLC, and I think we've talked through it, but this is the season pass. This was included in the season pass, as well as the leaders that are, more available in the multiplayer and all that sort of fun stuff. We don't get an intro, another intro cutscene or anything, but we do get mission dialogue, so that's good. This time around. David, do you want to just take us through that mission dialogue real quick?
Mission El Dialogo. Mission briefing Vaughn. When Isabel and Jerome destroyed your conviction, the Banished became as stranded as we were, and now they found a way to break the stalemate. Quinn comes in. They're using engineers to hack into Ark's local systems and prep the ship for launch. If we find those systems, can you stop the engineers, Quinn? Spirit of Fire scans show that the terminal's near the ship itself. I got a decryption package. I'll do what I can. Vaughn says, okay, that'll be our backup plan. We'll try a Condor assault first. Hell yeah, you will.
Yeah, but we find out a little bit it didn't go so well.
No, of course not, because Condors are related to Pelicans, and we know what happens.
Exactly. The mission summary is stop the Forerunner ship from launching, and the scouting report, Pelican transports can be used to quickly move your army around the battlefield. And that makes sense, because I didn't do it. Because there's these things that we got to do. Our objectives here are spread all across the map, and I just walked my guys around. I should have.
So did I, actually.
It's one of those leader powers you have to unlock, but you're just like, why would I spend my points on that? I want to get more boomy stuff, more explodey things.
We got to get those grizzlies.
Yeah. Objectives: disable charging columns, and there are 4 of them scattered around the map. They're really just kind of the corners, more or less. Then also clear launch area of the Banished once you do that, and then activate the terminal. That's just a quick little one, and then you kill the Hunter Captain, that's Colony.
What?
The final objective is prevent the Forerunner ship from launching, and you don't really do anything for that. You just, after you kill Colony, that last thing happens. The optional objective, finish the mission without losing any Colossus units. destroy banished Forerunner ship supplies, and disable controller sentinel shields. Those things are a pain in the ass. The Forerunner ship supplies is a weird one too, because there must be in the center of the map, and they just all of a sudden I just got that objective. I didn't seek out that objective; it just kind of happened. Bonus objectives are destroy enemy units and buildings with the Colossus Stomp, which you have to do 15 of those, either units or buildings. Kill 10 Goliaths, and then also kill the Hunter Captain in under 3 minutes. Krista, did you do that? Did you get it under 3 minutes?
No, I didn't. It was very, very close, actually. I also was playing on Legendary because I'm a crazy person.
You are a crazy person, but that's my fault. But you have agreed under my terms to play on. Oh, you played on Legendary. That's right.
Yeah, I did.
You
I won. I won up. I step up to the plate, Colin. I'm here to go above and beyond for you.
What? So why did you do that? Why did you make this decision?
I wanted the achievement.
Oh, is it just for this mission or?
No, I went back and played the first mission on Legendary too.
Oh, so beat them both on Legendary is the achievement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
work.
just to do the DLC on Legendary.
Gotcha. Part time is 45 minutes. Scoring goals. Gold is 160,000. Silver is 80 to 159. Bronze is 50 to 79. There are no skulls, but there are 2 Phoenix logs, and we'll talk about those later. Krista, why don't you go over our brief version of the toy box?
Super brief toy box. All right, so our UNSC units, we have our hero unit, which is Boomerang Company, which is a bunch of ODSTs. There's like 5 of them.
Sunray 1-1.
And then we have the biggest useless thing I've ever seen in my life, which is the Colossus, and it doesn't seem to actually want to shoot anything, and it also doesn't want to stomp on anything when you tell it to stomp on it, so it's great.
Sometimes it doesn't.
It's a clunky Alioke.
It's
a
so
what?
dumb.
Clunky.
Yeah, it's a little clunky. But now we have 3 mechs. It's weird, right? We have the Cyclops, we have the Mantis, and then we also have this giant Colossus thing.
You can have the robot army you've always imagined, Colin.
Right, that's true. And then you could also have Johnson's the leader power Johnson, the leader unit, and he's like in this little mech suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Spirit of Fire abilities. What do you got?
I have Restoration Drones 1, 2, and 3. Scatterbomb 1 and 2. Bunker Drop 1 and 2. We talked about that last episode. It drops a big garrisonable structure. Remote sensors, which increases the lines of sight for buildings and capture points. ODST drop, Pelican Transport 1 and 2, which is none of us used.
Right.
Which probably would have been helpful.
I used it a bit.
Oh, just a bit. Just a bit.
Once.
Yeah, you are a Pelican Transport guy, aren't you?
I did it once. It's fun.
Did it crash?
No.
That can't be canon then.
They're not canon, but like it's fun.
We also have Mech Overcharge 1 and 2, which makes Mantises temporarily invulnerable and faster. And then we have the Grizzly Battalion, and it drops 3 Grizzlies. Woo!
I finally used it this time.
Yeah,
it's
I did.
Fantastic.
But I forgot about it until the colony fight.
That's a good time
So
to put it, though.
Yeah.
I had 120 units. Well, we'll talk about it when it comes up, but I did use it at the end. What else you got?
We got some banished. We got a new hero unit, which is the Colony, and he's a big Lekolo boy, and he's just angry. And then we also have his friends, which are the Goliaths, which are also big Lekolo boys, and they just melee, so they're pretty dumb. We also have the Controller Sentinel, which has front shields. Very fun.
And back shields.
And back.
So
this one has
both.
back shields. Yeah, its back is covered. No one's touching that booty.
Until you take out those, what are they called, power nodes or something?
Yeah, you're basically just pantsing the Sentinel at that point.
Yep.
And then we have the Aggressor Sentinels, which are like the ones you see in the original trilogy of Halo that just shoot lasers at you, basically. And they kind of fly around and do cute things. And that's about it. That's everything new.
They're there to be annoying.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, and we have Mantises in here too. I guess I didn't list that up, but for the most part. The new stuff in this mission is Colossus and Colony. 2 new things to play with. All right, so we do get a little bit of an intro. We have Sunray 1-1 again, and they're reaching the site of this Forerunner ship, and the Forerunner ship itself, it shows it to you right away, but it's a weird thing. Krista, what did you think of this? It's like this hole, and then it's like the little tip is poking out of this hole.
I didn't like it.
Weird.
It looks a little bit like a lich. Like, just a tiny bit. It's
Does
kind of
it?
shaped like that. It looks weird. It looks really weird. It's got, like, a little tail. I don't know.
But you have no idea how big it is. 'Cause it's
No,
just
you
like
don't.
It's like it looks like they just scaled up one of those huge or one of the kind of aggressor sentinels.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it looks a little weird, but there's no way to tell what it actually looks like because you just get the top of it, and it's just kind of floating in this little hole, and it looks like it's being, well, I guess it's being kind of powered by those four beams that are around it. Those are the things you gotta shut down, the charging stations as they call it. But it is interesting. You do see, so they mentioned in the mission briefing that, hey, our Condor is going to go over there and check it out. And you see the Condor go, and the Condor gets wrecked right away. The Condor goes down. And so Sunray's got to go in, and they do there's a little more dialogue here, too, at the beginning, which is interesting because they figure out that the original thought is like, oh, the Banished are going to get a Forerunner ship. And then they're going to get off of the Ark and go get reinforcements. But no, they're actually going to use that ship. And they say it's like, oh, the coordinates are like pointing directly at the Spirit of Fire. So they're just going to use this thing to ram the Spirit of Fire in half and destroy it, which is very Banished, I feel like. Or it's very brute. Whether or not it's Banished, I guess, is still up in the air. But they're just going to use that as a ram.
well, they're probably still, Aatrox, I imagine, is still very angry over the loss of Enduring Conviction.
Yes. Yeah, he's going to try to even the scales. But then, yeah, I guess if the Spirit of Fire is taken out of the sky, there'll be some survivors, but that'd be pretty much the end of the UNSC because they don't have as many forces as the Banished down on the surface, and they'd be wiped.
Yeah,
so this is a big deal.
Reliant.
This is a big deal for Boomerang Company to get down there. So it is interesting, I guess, knowing how dire this potential plan is, that we don't get any Spartans. Jerome and Alice, they're just doing other things.
They got better shit to do.
Yeah, I guess maybe there's another, something else going on the Ark that we don't know about. But so it's an interesting setup, I think. I forgot completely that was the main crux of the plot, is that they were going to use it to. I thought they were just originally had some ship that they were going to get off of the Ark, but no, they're going to punch a hole in the Spirit of Fire, which is a big deal. So you start off, you kind of learn all that information, you run up on the map a little bit, and then they do give you a choice, which is interesting. They say you can either go this away or that away to plant your initial base, your fire base. Krista, what do you think about that I don't know. Choice?
Does it really make that much of a difference whether you put your base to the left or to the right of where you spawn?
I don't
It's
know.
weird that they give you a choice, though.
Yeah, it is. I have to say, I planted mine on the left space, which turned out to be good because there was another base plot not too far away from it, more to the left. So I thought that was good because you can have these two bases really close to each other starting out. Once I established my initial base, I went over to the spot where they said you could put down your base, the other spot, and you can't put down a base there then. I'm like, damn it. I want two.
I know, I was thinking about that too. Yeah, they did take that away. So I guess before you do get your base, you run Sunray Company up there, and there's a little garrison spot for you to hang out in and shoot this, what did I call it before? A charging station? Yeah, a charging station. So there's 4 of those things around the map that you have to disable. So you shoot that, and then this little blue orb thingy goes down, but then you're not done. So then now you have to go find a base and call down the Colossus, which we've already kind of talked about. David, tell me more about the Colossus, like your thoughts on this thing. Do you like it?
No. I mean, I don't like... I've never been into, like, mechs, really, like, you know, the Gundam thing. I know it's very popular, and this just looked really Japanesey to me. I know that's probably a terrible thing to say, but I just don't like that aesthetic, and I don't like how the Mantis looks. I never did, and the Cyclops is okay, but like as you scale up, I just don't like it. And this looks like just a larger Mantis, and it plays a little bit worse, let's say. So I'm not a huge fan of it. Pretty much, I mean, it's big, it does a thing, it has a stompy stomp, but I don't know.
Yeah, the old stompy stomp. That is weird that's one of its powers, because it does have some powerful guns, but then it gives you the stomp as the power. I don't know, Krista, any other critiques of this thing?
It's really clunky, and it looks like it should be super dope and powerful, and it really isn't. And it takes up doesn't it take up population as well? Yeah,
it takes up a little population. On Halopedia, it says it's an exosuit. It says a dude in there.
What?
Yeah, I would have thought as much.
There's a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I mean, I know that we've had one or two, let's say, extended lore things that have had like mechs in them and stuff like that, but I don't think the UNSC as a whole, it doesn't seem like that's their design. Like, that's the way they go down. They don't design mechs as much. Like, their vehicles tend to be way more traditional, let's say. I mean, even when they do like experimental stuff, the craziest things they kind of do are like a smaller scale on, like, let's say, the armor and stuff like that on like individuals, which I kind of like. I like that it's like soldier level scale stuff they're doing as opposed to like big ass fucking mechs. I guess big spaceships makes more sense given the scale of the Halo universe and stuff that's going on there. And I know that, like, let's say the Forerunners had crazy ass mechs too, essentially. And the Covenant never did anything like that. But I like that the Halo universe isn't about that, and it's not going that way. The Colossus is kind of here, and I don't think it's something we'll ever see again, to be honest. I didn't get that feel off it.
Yeah, I mean, it's more variety on the units. Like, I would think something more, either flying or something on wheels, because this thing you could tip it over pretty easily probably, and I don't know. I think it looks kind of cool. I'm okay with the Gundam type stuff personally. I've never gotten really into it, but it does definitely, that's a good call out. That gives you vibes of that. This is part of the Johnson's leader army, so he's all about the mech stuff. So that's probably why he has that mech suit. So, and I don't play much of the multiplayer stuff, but I would imagine you can have him out there with mantises, and then also this big bad boy, this big Colossus. So that could be fun seeing those things walk around. All right. So we then go set up one of our fire-based locations. We call down the Colossus. We take the Colossus up to that spot that we just shot out. And then now that little orb is in the ground, then you use the Colossus to stomp on it. And stomping on it is what essentially disables that charging station once and for all. So the crux of the mission from here is just going around the map and disabling the 3 other locations that are around. And of course, there's quite a bit of resistance along the way. Krista, do you want to walk us through your approach on this?
Everything.
After you finally get this bad boy?
Of course, I would love to. All right, so...
I mean, is it terrible on Legendary?
No, it's really not.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No. So my initial goal was to get my base up to level 3 as quick as physically possible.
Yeah, it starts at level 1, or just like...
It doesn't even start. I think you need, like, to upgrade it 3 times. No, maybe just 2 times. It's like 1,000...
Well, you can't build a garage right away.
Yeah, it's like 2,500 lightning bolts. So, I actually did not go and bring the mech and take out that first point initially.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
Oh, okay.
because you get, 14 minutes every time? Or 10 minutes every time?
10 additional minutes. You start. So yeah, I did mention there's a timer, so that's the countdown. 15 minutes to start, and then each time I think it adds 10 minutes. So you do have a decent amount of time once you get that additional one.
Yeah, so what I did was instead of going over there and hitting that, I just started building up my base. So I started off with, I think, 3 fully upgraded generators and 2 supply pads.
Mm-hmm.
And I just let those run. And I upgraded my base twice. I upgraded the garage and the air units to max.
Mm-hmm.
And then I upgraded all of my armory to max.
Oh, before you did anything.
Before I did anything, yeah.
Wow.
I think
So-
halfway through that, I had to go and bring the mech over there and kill the first point, but that wasn't a big deal. Because then I got another 10 minutes.
Did you get the power nodes that are nearby? Because there's a couple down below in this area.
Yeah, I got I think I had 2 power nodes going as well. Because there was one left of the point, and then one right below the base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's one more down there. So there's 3 kind of on the bottom of the map.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had those going. So I upgraded everything, and then I started turning out mantises, hornets, and vultures, and nightingales.
Oh, okay. So nothing rolling, no scorpions or anything.
Nope.
Okay.
And then after I had built up quite a nice force, I moved up to the next point. So the next point I went for the right base.
Okay.
Yeah, I went for the right base, and then I went for the closest node, which was to the right, which had the base on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took out the controller sentinel, and then I said, I don't actually have to kill the controller sentinel, so I just went to the point.
So what do you mean you took it out?
I captured the point from the controller sentinel.
Oh, so you just like released it from its tether?
Yeah, and then I just let it live its life in peace.
Float around.
Yeah, I let it live its life in peace after being pantsed.
Yeah. Well, that's nice of you. Because you could have killed it, but you decided not to.
I'm a very kind god.
You are.
Oh, wow.
And then I went straight. I ignored the base initially, and I went straight for the point because I was running out. I started doing this process at 4 minutes till.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I totally ignored the base and went right up there, smashed the point, and then I took out the base, took that over, put down like only supply pads because I was really needing supplies at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on with my life, and I started going to the base to the point to the left of my base. So I started kind of shimmying my units over there.
But you're just kind of going all as one blob, right? You're not splitting anything up.
Pretty much. I keep a couple units at the base because every once in a while a huge army will come and attack one of my bases. So I try to make sure I have like a vulture or something there, and then of course once I see the attacks coming, I start building units at the base to defend it if I have any extra availability.
Yeah, they sent them against me quite a bit.
They did,
like,
with
like a bunch of race and locusts and just annoyingness.
Tons of locust, yeah.
Yeah,
really annoying. So at that point, there's another base up at that top point that I was talking about. So the one on the left took the left one. There's a base there. Took that base. At that point, my initial base was getting pretty fucked, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it. I don't care.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just let it die. So I still had my secondary base at that first point, and then I had my other base up towards the top, and then I went and captured...
Is that the cloaked one? The one that's, like, invisible right away?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. You know, they have that little cloaking technology, so you can't see it. You guys have stuff shooting at you. And then once you get up there close enough, then it reveals itself.
It's like, all right, now I have to fuck it with like 8 vultures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at some point I gave up on the mantises and just had a bunch of vultures and hornets and nightingales, so that was fun.
Yeah. And then your ODSTs, right? Or did you let them die somewhere?
No. I still had them because they had to capture the points and turn on terminals. That's the only reason I kept them around. I would have abandoned them if not. But I needed some boots on the ground.
Their EMP is pretty slick too. We've talked about
The
that.
EMP is pretty slick. I do enjoy the EMP. It's fun. So then I went and captured the final point. I went to the middle. Cleared everything out. And then Colony showed up, and unfortunately for Colony and the Goliaths, my entire force was in the air, and there was nothing they could do. So
Could they not even shoot at you?
I think Colony can shoot at you, but the Goliaths cannot.
They just run around.
Yeah, they just run around. So it was
funny.
it was very easy, and that's how I did it on Legendary.
Nice
Thanks for
work.
coming to my TED Talk.
It's interesting because a little bit more about that fight. I guess David, do you want to chime in before we talk more about that fight? About your approach?
Yeah, I didn't do a whole much difference. I was kind of pushing for time, so that's why I used the transport to kind of zip once or twice around.
Nice.
But for the most part, I did try, like, I saw a video of like doing a Mantis army and stuff last time. It's like, okay, I'll get some Mantises in and use that.
Yeah.
Because that leader power is OP. So I was using that. I played on normal, so it wasn't too difficult either. But I remembered what Krista had said about like Colossus and stuff being like can't do air from the last mission. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get some air stuff in there. And that's pretty handy. I mean, the last boss fight isn't too bad when he starts teleporting around and stuff. But
yeah,
I didn't.
So like a
cool.
combo of Mantis and some
A little bit of
stuff.
Yeah. I didn't do deviate too differently. But
Did you take out the controller units, or did you avoid them as well?
I kind of just went for speed.
Yeah.
I was just like, let's do this.
Yeah. I feel like this mission. I want to say one of my times I played it a couple times. I didn't play it in heroic because that didn't sound like much fun to me. But the time that I got, the best time, it was like 36 minutes or something like that. I think you can take this mission down pretty quickly, especially if you do the transports. I would imagine, not like walk your mechs around the entire place. But yeah, it's not too bad once you get your army built up. But there's really no point. Did you split your units at all, David? I feel like there's no point because like you meet a ton of resistance when you get to the actual, the charging stations. So might as well just send everybody.
I'm not great at multitasking in these games, so I'm a big blob kind of guy. Bring them all.
You're blobby.
I'm blobby.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I did anything very different. No, for the most part, it was just it took me a while. Well, it didn't take me a while, but like it was frustrating to realize that you had to turtle right away, because I wanted to explore a little bit, but I'd explore. I'd have to build up this base because it's so basic right away, and so you're like, oh crap, this is gonna take forever. So I did do a little exploring and found those power nodes, but once I like saw too much banished, like I was just running around with Sunray, my little hero unit, and once they met resistance, I was like, oh, see ya, I gotta go back to the base, go back to my boys. I feel like this mission actually would have been a good one to use a jackrabbit to do a little exploring, because you can build that right away.
What's a jackrabbit called?
Well, let me tell you about the jackrabbit. It's this little thing. Oh, speaking of, where'd the warthogs go?
Who cares?
They're gone, aren't they? There's no warthogs.
Fuck them.
Jackrabbits have replaced warthogs. Oh man, what a world. What if there was no warthogs in Halo ever? It was just a jackrabbit.
No!
That hell does not exist, Colin.
Colin, if that universe exists, I want you playing the Maw from Halo 1
With
on
the
loop
jackrabbit.
forever. Yeah, you deserve it.
Can you imagine though, like if there was no iconic warthog?
I bet that thing
hell?
handles janky as hell.
Oh man. Maybe we'll find out
No.
in Halo Infinite.
Please no.
Oh boy. Yeah, so let's talk about this colony fight. I think I did mention like in the middle, so you do have to clear out all the stuff in the middle. That is one of the objectives, and then you also have to clear out like the ship supplies. I didn't get a good view on like that objective just kind of happened for me. So I don't know if you guys got a good look at what that is, but at some point you just destroy those ship supplies, and then Colony shows up. He does taunt you at one point. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but what is his one line? I wrote it down here.
I'm Colony Brr.
Yeah, it says, "We are one." Where is it? Oh shoot, I wrote it down. It's like destroy, more or less. Oh, there it is. He pops out. Oh yeah, when he pops out of the portal, he says, "As one, end them." That's it.
He's a weirdo.
He is a weirdo. So he teleports in with this little red teleporty thing, and then you take out his shield and hurt him a little bit, and then he teleports away, and then a bunch of Goliaths show up and some other banished, and all these Goliaths are somehow shielding him. So you need to take out the Goliaths to actually do any damage on Colony. You do that twice, and then you can finally take him down. So yeah, I don't know, Krista, what did you think about this little boss battle at the end?
I thought it was really interesting.
You did.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Even though it was kind of easy. I think the teleporting was fun. I think the shielding was fun. It's definitely probably a lot more fun when you have a better plethora of units, so he's actually a threat. But
yeah,
I like Colony. I think he's a great character. I like how he only called in other hunter units. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I liked the diversity. I liked them using more Lekgolo in this game. So I don't really have any complaints. I thought it was fun.
Well, the interesting thing, even though Colony's dead, like canon-wise, technically we could meet another colony at some point, right? Like the Lekgolo could form another colony. Maybe it doesn't have the same personality.
Oh,
Well, there's got to be more Legolo characters in the universe. Do you know what I mean? So it can't just. So I mean, it could be. You could very easily create another one. Give it a different name.
Yeah. What did you think about the fight, David? Did you enjoy it?
It was okay. I'm typically not a big fan of teleporting bosses, and
Yeah.
the teleportation it's grand. It's not as egregious in this game, and I think Prometheans are way worse than this guy. But no, it was a cool fight actually. It was I think Colony could have been built and done a bit better. I know he only existed for like 2 missions and barely even in either of them really. I feel like there could have been more to Spearbreaker, to be honest, to kind of make him a bigger, kind of more interesting antagonist.
Speaking of bigger, like he's kind of the same size as the Goliath. Would it have made him more intimidating? Like, could they have made him bigger and more intimidating, or maybe like with 6 legs or something?
You think you want him physically bigger?
Yeah,
More like kind of scarab, kind of.
Maybe not that size, but maybe more like I don't know, like two Goliaths, maybe. I don't know, just something a little bit more. I'm sure he's more efficient than the Goliaths, but he kind of looked similar, at least from the standpoint of RTS, third person above view.
I think something we have to remember is that because he's considered another leader in Atriox's army, he has to kind of look normal. Yeah. He has to be able to get into ships and meetings and I don't know what they do.
Meetings.
I mean, they have to have like war meetings or something, right? Like telling you what to do. I mean, I feel like at some point he would have to enter a building to do something.
Yeah,
I mean, didn't they
also
like a desk
remember?
Somewhere?
Yeah, he's got to do his paperwork, the banished paperwork. But also like remember that Lekgolo aren't really accepted as leaders as well, so he might have had to make himself a little bit non-threatening in order for him to keep his position or something like that. I mean,
that's interesting because it's a combined personality of a bunch of little Lekgolo. So the fact that he's a being is just interesting to begin with. Like he has a consciousness, but he's a consciousness of a bunch of worms.
Yeah, I like it. I want to see more Lekgolo. I think Lekgolo have always been super, super cool. So the more we see, the better.
Yeah, and like they tried to do some Lekgolo stuff in Nightfall, but it wasn't super interesting.
No.
It was more like a horror element of that.
Yeah,
show.
It was. I think it might have been because Nightfall itself had a bit of a pacing issue that it kind of Lekgolo weren't as impactful, I guess, because the entirety of the show was not very impactful.
Yeah. Sorry, Dave, I keep interrupting you.
Yeah, it's okay. I can't remember what I was saying anyway. But yeah, Colony, fight, cool, do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to complete the mission. And then, so you take him out, and then, I don't know, I don't know if I really like this end little gameplay thing. It's a little weird. So you have Hornets fly over and chuck a bunch of charges into the hole, which we've seen charges from, which I'm forgetting what unit has the charges. Is it like the mech or the combat unit?
ODSTs have one.
They have them too?
I'm pretty sure ODST have the charges. Or the
So
one.
they have little charges that they chuck and then they shoot them? Oh, yeah. I think you're right. It is ODSTs. So they drop those charges down in there, shoot that. Or I guess Quinn hits the button to like lower the ship. She like smacks it. And then the ship lowers and then it blows up. And then everybody's, happy, and then high-fiving each other. And then I guess it is interesting that they mentioned that this location, because they must not have been aware of this location because it was cloaked, so they couldn't really explore. I guess the Banished were exploiting it. So now that they've removed the Banished from that area, then they mentioned that, hey, Isabel can probably find some cool stuff here. And we can use it, the UNSC can use it to our advantage. And then they end it from there. So I want to roll this into our recap, because we're not doing a separate recap show for this one. But what do you guys think about this little story that they've told in Operation Spearbreaker? So it took a day. They were researching, they found out the Banished were up to no good, and then, as a part of the initial meeting or the initial mission, we kind of find out exactly what they're trying to do, or more or less exactly what they're trying to do. And then the second mission is them stopping the Banished from their plan of using this ship. David, what do you think about the plot? Was there enough of it? Was it interesting? Did it move things forward enough for you?
2 missions is not a lot. And to be honest, to tell like a completely separate side story, I think kind of what I said before in the previous episode, like I wish the scale was smaller. I wish it wasn't about base building. I wish it was about the unit. I wish it was more character building. Sunray, I think, have more potential than was shown, and same as Connolly has more potential than what was shown in these 2 missions. That essentially boiled down to a few extra units, but the same style of gameplay that the rest of the game had. So I mean, it's not bad, but it didn't blow me away. And I remember being particularly excited about an ODST squad that you were playing as. That has potential. But again, I know it's an RTS, and maybe I'm being a bit harsh on that. But that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but it's pretty forgettable.
Yeah.
And like the next DLC, I think, is more memorable. I like what they were trying to accomplish here. And because the big question at the end of the main campaign was like, well, what's Spirit of Fire going to do now? Or what are the Banished going to do now? There's a big question mark there. So I feel like they tell this story and they answer some of those questions. They say, well, kind of what we were projecting during the end, when we were talking about the end of that campaign. Is like, well, Banished is probably going to try to get off the Ark now. That makes sense. And so they're telling that story like, yes, that's exactly what the Banished are doing. And the Banished are pissed off at the UNSC, so they're going to try to shoot the Spirit of Fire out of the sky. I don't know if maybe it was because it didn't include a cutscene, or like these little gameplay cuts just didn't quite capture the crux of the mission effectively. I don't know. Krista, any other thoughts on these 2?
I definitely think that the next DLC completely overshadows this DLC. Like,
yeah,
in a bad way. Like, these 2 missions are very, very forgettable once you kind of move on to the latter half of the game. I think they did a good job at kind of tiding us over for Awakening the Nightmare. Because these were kind of in between. It came out as a little DLC. It kept us engaged with the game so that we were still in the system when Awakening the Nightmare came along. I think that was the whole purpose of this. Like, let's give them a little something to do so that they're still interested in Halo Wars, so that when our big DLC comes out, they're still going to be, interested in it.
Well, I think the point, as I think about this more, the point of this DLC, because it was part of the season pass, right? This DLC was really to give us the new leaders for multiplayer. I think that was the bigger part of the package. Again, none of us are real big on that, so we don't have a ton of insight on how that impacted the multiplayer side of things. But from a campaign standpoint, it's like I guess I'm glad they gave us a little nugget of story, but I'm also wishing that I had more from this. I could see, I guess another thing that I would love to get is maybe instead of just 2 missions that tell a story, maybe give us, another couple side stories, right? Like give us, I would love to have, 2 more missions that are telling a side story of something, the UNSC is trying to accomplish on the Ark and the Banished trying to stop them or something else. I don't know, David, do you think it would be like, have they worn out the Halo Wars 2 storytelling with Operation Spearbreaker, or would you be more interested in them telling more stories?
Like now?
Well, at this point,
weird.
It's been a few years, right? As of recording, but do you think that would have been sustainable for Halo Wars 2 to say like, okay, we're gonna actually come out with 4 new side stories for you to explore?
That would have been cool, and definitely that seems like what their DLC was doing in terms of like the main story of Halo Wars 2 ended on like not say a cliffhanger, but a setup, right? Of like, okay, Anders has gone over there, she's going to link up with the main Halo universe, but we have what's happening on the arcs, and then we have human forces, Spirit of Fire have an advantage, but you have Atriox with his overwhelming amount of numbers and, still very much a potent force on the arc.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of potential for storytelling for like the size of the arc, the shit that could possibly happen all around it. That maybe is what they were trying to go for. But like it's very inconsistent when you compare Spearbreaker to Awakening the Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like Krista says, it totally overshadows it. I'm still open to it. I think, I want another Halo Wars 3. Hell yeah. I mean, I'd be down with that. But I think you definitely could have done more something like a Spartan Ops for this game and brought out smaller things, smaller missions. Mm-hmm. I definitely would have been down with that. And especially because like the theater of operations that, the potential there, all the different environments on the Ark, come on, there's loads you could have done.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense that there would be some kind of ship building or ship dock on the Ark. That makes total sense. And yes, you would initiate some kind of operation there. And I like to think that like Forerunner ships are crazy, right? So like say they may not have been able to actually get on this ship as a mode of transport. Mm-hmm. So they were probably just saying, what can we do? Oh, we can turn it on and point it. Okay, grand. It's now just a missile that we just aim and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And, do you know what I mean? I think all of that could have been fleshed out over a couple of missions, and that would have been cool. Imagine being like an ODST going behind enemy lines for like data gathering and trying to figure out this thing is totally shielded. What do? We send in an ODST to figure out what the fuck's on the other side of the shield.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just have to like operate guerrilla style tactics, maybe figure out what they're trying to do. Oh shit, they're trying to do this. Quinn, what can you do? I can hack shit. Great. Let's go hack this thing and do it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you could have done more.
It would have been cool. So I like that direction. It would have been cool. So if you're deployed as an ODST squad, you're kind of going stealth, guerrilla style. And then at some point during the mission, like maybe you accomplish a bunch of objectives, you're 25 minutes into the mission, and then all of a sudden you meet up with Alice and Jerome, and then all of a sudden they're a part of your squad to finish the rest of the mission, right? Like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, imagine if they're like the heavies you call in.
Mm-hmm.
That like you're scouting out, you're getting the information, you're an ODST squad, realistically, what can you achieve?
Yeah.
And so it's like, shit, okay, we have Conley, we have a fucking crazy amount of Legolo. We gotta call in some Spartans to fuck these guys up. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I like that. Let's talk about what was introduced here. So we talked about the story. The units themselves, I don't know, there's not a whole lot of units. Krista, anything to say about the Mantis, getting that in Halo Wars 2 finally, or any other units that we get?
The new leader powers are pretty cool, especially like the Grizzly drop and stuff like that.
Let's talk about those.
I really liked that. The scatter bombs are pretty much the same. It's the same shit, like whatever. The other leader powers I really didn't use, but the Grizzly was a big standout for me. The Mantises don't do anything that spectacular. The only reason to do the mantises is to use the leader power that makes them invulnerable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, those...
I thought they were okay.
Yeah.
They were decent.
I mean, using the leader power and
They're
using
pretty good.
mantises is a very powerful combo. It works
Yeah.
very well. It's great. If that's what you want your strategy to be, it's fantastic. It's really cool. On their own, but once they added that leader power, they're actually very useful. The Colossus is just a trope for that one mission, really. It doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah.
I liked fighting all the Sentinels, though. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It made sense, I think, within the lore. With the Ark's fighting back. The Ark doesn't want anyone messing with it.
And I thought both of the boss battles were good at the end of both missions.
Yeah. I mean, boss battles are a weird thing in RTS, but I feel like they're also, you need some sort of a culmination, something to throw everything at. I find, for me, this boss battle was just like, I have my wad of 120 units. I'm just gonna throw them at my colony. I did have to move them around a little bit to get the Goliaths first, but I was able to get the drop. So I had my full army against colony. I should have mentioned this before, and then he somebody hit me really hard. All of a sudden, I lost a bunch. Either like some of my units, my Nightingales were overworked and they got shot down, and then all of a sudden some of my other units weren't doing so hot. But I did reach a point where, because the Grizzlies are 30 units, I was like, oh, okay, now I all of a sudden have 70 units. Time to call in the Grizzlies, and was able to drop them in, and they just finished the job for me, which was pretty slick. Yeah, so we're kind of at the same spot, though, which is interesting to think about. So we did get this additional story, but from a universe standpoint, Halo Wars 2 universe standpoint, we're still at a standstill. We're still at this point where the Banished are still stuck on the Ark, and the Spirit of Fire are still keeping an eye on them.
Yeah.
Anything else to say? Well, we can do some Phoenix logs here, but David, do you have anything else to add before we cover off on that stuff from like a recap standpoint?
From a recap standpoint, I think the leader powers are pretty much the highlight of these two missions. I think the additions are pretty fun, and I think that stands to like just being a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
They introduced to the game. I like them a lot. Bringing down 3 Grizzlies is mental, and like the way that the animation that they come in, and it's just like it's just so cool. It's just such a cool thing to do. So I really enjoyed that. Other than that, I pretty much said my piece.
Okay, cool. Let's cover off on these Phoenix logs. There are 2 of them. The first one was near the power node on the left of the map. And then, actually, I feel like mine was, it might have been the right, not the left. I might have got mixed up there. But anyway, it's one of the power nodes that is by where the controller sentinels is circling around. When you get rid of that, there's one that's right there. And then by destroying the Banished base at the top of the map, I believe that's the one that's invisible, cloaked. Once you destroy that, there will be another Phoenix log that pops up. Krista, what do they have to say?
All right, so the first one is called Float Slow But Steady. From the journal of Val Taram, Sanghili Guard and translator. I was overseeing a group of Hergoks when I heard a shrieking of metal, an almost animalistic cry that pulled at my gut as the sentinels tore the enduring conviction apart. I would have given anything to be with my clan brothers then, to die a warrior's death among my brethren. Instead, I watched helpless as the sentinels carved up my ship, my home, and family.
Whoa.
The shame I felt drove me to madness. It has been weeks since I even unsheathed my blade. They told me my skills as an interpreter were more important than my swordsmanship. When we left the Covenant to join Atriox, we lost access to all logistics and docking support. No more repair crews, just a few Hergoks we happened to have on board when the shipmaster pledged allegiance to the Banished. My ability to communicate with the Hergoks, the sign language, and the patience it required to learn it, quickly isolated me from my own kind. When my brothers fought in battle, I was to work with the Hergoks to secure resources and unlock ancient technology. How I wished we had an Ungoi deacon that could have taken my place. I felt less than a warrior, yeah. Now, at last, I feel the vengeance and redemption is within my reach, and the instrument is the very thing that has separated me from my warrior brethren. Atriox has charged the mysterious Lekgolo known as Colony to seek out Forerunner weapons, and it has found a long-forgotten ship. I have been assigned to communicate and to watch over the Huragox, which goes by the name of Float Slow But Steady. Because of its habits of almost skimming the ground as it works, within the span of a day, I started talking to the ship and launching systems that hold it. I consider myself fluent, but there are occasional words that I cannot accurately translate. The closest translations seem to be bloom, grow, or seed. The Jirohane looked at me with disgust as I work with Float Slow, as they fear that what they do not understand. But they cannot hide their awe at the results. The ship seems to grow and rebuild itself from the very launch system, and a spear to drive deep into the hearts of our enemies.
Ooh. There, I finally got Spearbreaker.
Yay!
That was it. I just needed him to tell me they were going to use the ship as a spear. There you go.
Perfect. We get it now. I understand.
That's a cool little journal entry. So his name's Val Telram.
That is actually pretty cool.
He's a
So he's like a
boy.
super smart Sangheili. Love it.
All right, the next one is A Tensed Bolt. Unknown author, installation 00, date 29,823 BC. So this one, it wasn't yesterday or tomorrow. It was just a little bit back,
Just a couple days
just
ago.
a couple days ago. It disturbs me to admit, but I always feel a wash of ennui after
Ennui, I think.
after dismantling one of the librarian siege ships. As with all of my master's design, architecture and functional balance in perfect harmony. It seems such a pity to be put back in the box. It is as if mighty archers have flexed their muscles, drawn back the box to full strength, and then suddenly frozen in full pose. The tension remains, the action and all potential postponed, perhaps never to be realized. The temptation to launch it and to break the stasis is strong, so I must busy myself with other tasks. However, even Refugia has some buried inert marvel of technology, weapons, ships, power sources, all patiently waiting to be put to use once again. This is the way of things. At least the ship in the sympathy with the installation. As with all the librarian's plans, Installation 00 has performed admirably, but now it lays dormant, sleeping. And it is my task to watch and maintain this installation should the threat arise once again. This guy talks real funny. God damn it, the monitors are ruining my day.
Yeah, so this is...
Tragic Solitude, it sounds like.
Tragic Solitude again? Yeah. And so he shut down... It's probably talking about the ship that they were going to use, that the Banished are going to use.
Yeah.
So he was shutting this thing down for whatever reason way back in the day. Interesting. Cool. Let's talk about... Should we do any trivia, David?
Trivia?
There's nothing really. I mean, no. I mean, no. There's nothing.
David refuses to tell us trivia.
Okay.
I could make something up, but there's not really.
Nothing really good. All right.
No.
I mean, the trivia is kind of in those Phoenix logs, I feel like. I think that's good stuff. Good deep lore. All right, let's do community then, and we'll get out of here.
Hey!
What's Facebook have to say?
Community. So here we go. You are Colin Perkins. Halo Podcast Evolved. Admin. September 25th at 4:18 p.m. You're a Legolo trainer, and you're preparing your worm buddies for the performance of a lifetime. What shape do they take in the grand finale? Very nice, Colin. Question your mission debrief. Halo Wars 2, not on my watch mission. Colin's a nice little gif there. It's a pretty cool gif of just like the hunters rising from Guardians. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They just like self-assemble themselves. It's pretty cool. Lucas says Hollywood superstar Shia LaBeouf for the legendary fight with the actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Okay. Richard says my Legolo would take the form of Bailey's Irish cream. Creamy, soft, creamy.
Delicious.
Okay. Manny says time to get swifty to save the planet. Very nice. Colin says we're recording this afternoon. You still want to chime in? That's not a correct answer, Colin. Didn't even answer his question.
God damn it.
And then we have Manny says a performance that took 1,000 lifetimes to perfect. It only comes down to an epic dance formation that only Master Chief as Mega Loco can perform. And it's a Halo Bollywood movie trailer thing. There we go.
Nice.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. What does I bet you Discord has some fun with this, huh?
Matt says, oh no. He says, mine would take the shape of a Spartan too. Known thy enemy. Pope says, a giant banana.
Nice.
Nate says, going off Matt's idea, 4 separate forms, each a member of Blue Team. Rebecca says, boobs.
Just boobs.
Just boobs. Cal says, a recreation of New York City. Prophet of Deer says, the Aristocats.
Yes.
Disney movie.
Is it Aristocrats or Aristocats?
It says crats, but I think it says the
Aristocrats.
Aristocrats.
Yeah, it's an old joke. It's a silly thing, but anyway.
I want it to be the Disney movie where it's just the cat.
The Aristocats.
Yeah. Perfect. Blue Calc says thanks. Now I can only imagine a hunter speaking like Gilbert Godfrey. Jedi Spartan says a Legolo equivalent to Venom from Marvel. Barlet
Nice.
King says a big nose. FBI says Godzilla. Or maybe Jaws.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. What else we got? I think that's it. I think that's what we
Very
got.
nice.
So, thank you. I like a big nose.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for chiming in, everyone. Krista, so after the show, Google the Aristocrats joke.
Okay.
And there's lots of different people telling this stupid joke. So, anyway.
I will do
check
my
that out.
research.
That will do it for our debriefing of the Not On My Watch mission from Halo Wars 2. And we are done with Operation Spearbreaker.
Woo!
On to Awakening the Nightmare.
Woo-hoo.
On the next episode, we'll be playing What Could Go Wrong. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. And don't forget that free audiobook trial. Visit audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. Until next time, evolved.
Evolve!
Evolved!